Welcome to Notepad. I'm your host, Ibrahim Sani. In this episode, we have two big guests, Lim Wei Jiet of Muda, as well as oncoming the MP of Bangi. Oncoming is going to come on later, but right now on the line, we have Lim Wei Jiet, the Muda Vice President, as well as lawyer and advocate, solicitor as well. Wei Jiet, I want to talk a little bit more about the statement that you shared earlier today, which talks about the reversal of political appointments in government-linked companies. This is in light of the Security Commission's latest corporate governance code. Corporate governance, of course, has always been a theme since the 1MDB fiasco. What motivated you to issue such a statement?
Well, I thought that what the SC's recent corporate governance is really a step in the right direction for Malaysia. It discourages public listed companies from appointing active politicians to the board. And I feel that in line with that, the government should actually reconsider to reverse the political appointees in many of the GLCs that we have today. So I thought that who else but the GLCs to set an example for corporate Malaysia by being the first companies to adhere to SC's updated corporate governance code.
There are some people that you mentioned specifically. You want to go through them?
Some obvious examples are, for example, Datuk Sri Mat Khalid, who is the chairman of the Tenaga Nasional. We have Tajuddin Abdul Rahman, who is the chairman of Prasarana. We have Tan Sri Noor Omar, who is the chair of PUNB. And these are only a few examples of public listed or public companies. And although I acknowledge that the corporate governance code is only targeted towards public listed companies, but that code also specifically encourages public companies, private companies, SMEs to also abide by it.
The thing about this is that a code is still a code. It's not quite a law yet. It's not quite a statute. It is something that one would adhere to, but not necessarily punished if it is transgressed.
Yeah, but according to Bursa's listing requirements, if you don't comply with the code, you have to explain, why you have not complied with it. I mean, there is a process you need to go through, but you're right in the sense that there's no penalty if you don't comply with it.
Okay, so this is the perennial problem that we've had. We've encountered one of the worst cases of lack of corporate governance failure, resulting in the billions of ringgit losses. Datuk Sri Najib Tun Razak has been found guilty of criminal breach of trust. We have also seen a lot of these cases still ongoing. We all know the story now, and yet we are bound to repeat it again. And I think we have to draw a line where it matters the most, which is what can we do when we see such transgressions taking place? Do you know of an avenue, an outlet that we can air our grievance in order to ensure that corporate governance is maintained, in order that we don't repeat our problems yet again?
Well, unfortunately, Parliament is not convening, so we can't really go there. So I suppose it's left to the media and the people to continue to pressure the politicians out there for agencies like MACC to continue to monitor and oversee these politicians to ensure that they don't abuse their powers when they are being directors or chairmen of these companies. Unfortunately, the avenue to reform is very limited. I would hope for a law to be passed one day which would, effectively disable politicians from being appointed to GLCs, but we have to fight one day one step at a time.
Yeah. To amplify the matter even worse, the items that you mentioned just now, the chairman of the Tenaga Nasional, the chairman of Prasarana, it also boils down to more companies than that, companies that might not necessarily be GLC per se, as you mentioned. This include statutory bodies like MARA, where we have the Bersatu MP appointed as the chairman, and you were mentioning about another Bersatu MP in charge of Felcra and SPAN or Port Klang Authority. The list goes on. Yeah. It seems to be a feature that we put politicians inside, active politicians, politicians who are sitting as MPs mostly, but some aduns as well, running the show. This has resulted in a lot of tremendous problems. One example is Prasarana, when you have an MP in charge of Prasarana, any contract that is awarded to any contractor will be questioned. One such case for Prasarana is when the Prasarana chairman's daughter or son, I'm not too sure, got a contract, but because the dad is the Prasarana chairman, even if Prasarana says that the contract was won by proper means and proper measures, it still highlights the problem of having an active politician sitting on the board or becoming chairman outright. This is a problem that we have to address. Do you think that by issuing such a statement can actually go so far as trying to bring this issue in the light of public consciousness?
Well, I'm not the first person to issue this kind of statement, but in light of the SE's recent corporate governance code, I think it's timely to revisit that call. And I hope that other politicians out there and people in power are able to also voice along the same lines and to make sure that politicians are not given this role in corporate Malaysia and to prevent the 1MDB fiasco from potentially happening again. I don't think Malaysia can afford a second 1MDB.
Right, thank you very much. That was Lim Wei Jiet, the lawyer, solicitor and advocate of the High Court of Malaya, as well as the Muda Vice President joining us. We'll go for a short break. When we come back, we have YB Ong Kiam Ming joining us to talk about the multilateral ties with the US and ASEAN. We'll be right back after these messages.